लाइव ऑप्शन तो यहीं पे मिला है।
क्या ऑप्शन?
लाइव ऑप्शन तो यहीं पे मिला है।
को
A very warm welcome to all. My name is Silpee Parashar from the Policy Research Team of Sarkari School. In this session, I will be giving a brief presentation on my research report, Government Efforts for Ensuring E-Learning of Children During COVID in Madhya Pradesh. Moving on to the presentation. As we know that the COVID-19 pandemic is widely considered to be the most demanding health crisis around the world. With no exception, it has tremendously affected the entire population of India adversely. The education sector is forced to shut down and has resulted in loss of academic year. The state government of Madhya Pradesh is swiftly responding to this education labs and has initiated some of the digital platforms in order to facilitate learning opportunities to the children in the state. Associates in the education sector is also trying to take a positive approach by leaving no one behind. Moving on to the presentation. These are some of the initiatives taken by the government of Madhya Pradesh for ensuring e-learning, such as DG Lab, Radio School, CM Rice Digital Teacher Training, Gyan Pitara, M Siksha, and Top Parent App. Also, the government has taken certain initiatives such as teachers training and learning platforms in order to provide training opportunities to the teacher amidst the crisis. So, like Diksha and Nishtha. These platforms enable teachers to enroll in different courses which are provided by the government in order to enhance their knowledge and skills concerning the education zone. Moving forward, we have the literature review of the paper. In order to have a better understanding of the topic and to have an in-depth of knowledge, I have undertaken the study of various articles, reports, and research papers as well, such as ICT in Schools by Abhishek Ranjan, which basically focuses on innovative ideas and has adopted a children-centric approach. Also, from the Telecom Statistics Report 2018, I have collected data of digital subscriber or internet subscribers from rural and urban areas in the state. Next is the Chomal Anchal Learning Outcomes and Assessment. These basically highlights the learning situation in the state amidst the crisis. Also, lastly, I have undertaken the study of an article which is published in the newspaper Hindu, which discloses the fact that only 30% of the students from primary and middle schools in Madhya Pradesh have access to e-learning platforms or home-based learning programs, and it was reported by the State Department of School Education itself. Moving forward, methodology and research design. So this segment basically discuss the various methods applied for analyzing and evaluating the implementations, the initiatives that are taken by the government in order to facilitate learning in Madhya Pradesh. Also, the paper has taken into account primary and secondary data in the research methodology in order to analyze the learning situation in the state. We have collected the primary data by circulating questionnaires among the teachers and students. Apart from this, we have also worked on interviews and survey. Moving on to the next slide, objectives and hypothesis. So the basically the paper deals with two objectives, which are to find the rate of accessibility of e-learning in the to the children in COVID, and also to find the rate of teachers who have completed their e-learning training. The research study has taken two hypotheses, that is a null and the alternative hypothesis in the study. So in the null, we have government policies for children are accessible, and for the alternative, we have government policies for children are not accessible. So a detailed discussion of this paper will help us to find a suitable and ongoing hypothesis. Moving on to the next slide, sampling design. The study is based on the non-probability sampling method, and for this, our subjects are 100 participants, like 50 teachers and 50 students belonging to various schools of the Chambal region, Morena. Also, we have focused on the middle school, that is students belonging to class 6, 7, and 8 standards. And apart from this, we have also focused on the social infrastructure and availability of resources, which seem to be the greatest hurdle during the pandemic. Moving forward to the next slide, data analysis. Descriptive statistics are carried out to understand the view of the participants using advanced numerical tools. The simple percentage distribution is estimated to assess the learning status, mode of learning, and opinions on education programs and issues related to the study due to the outbreak. Moving forward to the next slide, we have the results and discussion. The findings are based on the distributed questionnaires that we have circulated among the teachers and students of the government middle schools in the Chambal region of Madhya Pradesh. The questions compiled for the distribution among the teachers and the students are categorized in 3 sections, which are based on multiple choices, fixed action, and analysis aptitude. Moving forward to the next slide. This slide basically discusses the data that was collected by circulating questionnaires among the teacher section. These are the multiple choice questions based in the teacher's questionnaire. So during the survey, out of the 50 responses, 58.8% of the responses were from the male teachers and 41.2% were from the female section. Also, 64.7% of them were from rural government schools, which are the schools that are situated in rural areas, and 35.3% of them belong to the schools situated in the urban areas. Also, the online mode of teaching was widely used during the pandemic, and cooperative learning method was used by 88.2% of the educators. Number of classes conducted per day by most of the teachers was 2, and followed by 3 classes by 33.3% of the educators. Also, the result of certification courses varies from the range 0 to 100, and the results are very shocking because most of the teachers, the greatest section of the teacher community, like 58.5% of the teachers have not done any certification courses on platforms like Diksha or Nishtha. Moving on to the next slide. Fixed action-based questions. These are the questions which were asked in the teacher's questionnaire. Only 35.3% of the educators have completed their training on e-learning and ICT tools, whereas the majority, the greater section of them have not done, with a percentage of 64.7%. Also, 51% of the educators have done certification courses on platforms like Diksha, whereas 40% have not enrolled themselves in any of these courses. Also, 98% of them have access to Android computer and mobile phones, and only 13.7% of the educators receive any kind of financial help or assistance from the government for data pack or subscription. And according to 68.6%, that is the greater part of the community, teachers community, consider online courses are not good for the long term. Moving on to the next slide. This question was based on analysis aptitude in the teacher's questionnaire. So when it was asked that whether you're satisfied with the policies implemented by the government or not, so as we can see on the screen that only 5.9% of them were very satisfied with the policies of the government, and 17.6% were satisfied, whereas 37.3% were very dissatisfied, and 11.8% were very dissatisfied with the various policies of the government like DG Lab, M Siksha, and etc. Moving on to the next slide. This slide discusses the questions from the students' questionnaire, which were based on multiple choice. most of the responses were from the boys, from the male section, out of the 50 participants. And we have collected data from the students who belong to, who study in class 6, 7, and 8 standard. And most of the participants were from the schools that are situated in the urban areas with a percentage of 62%. And most of the students attend online classes with a percentage of 80. And during the survey, it was discovered that mobile phone was widely used as a medium of receiving education, followed by computer. And according to 84% of the student, the greater part of the students consider offline mode of education is better than the online mode of education. Moving on to the next slide. So these questions are based on fixed action. So according to majority of the students, teachers take weekly reviews and take regular classes, and 52% of the students have proper connectivity in their areas, and only 24% of them were comfortable with the online sessions and tutorials conducted amidst the crisis, and only for 4% of the students have received any kind of financial assistance or financial aid from the government government for research or for data subscription in order to attend the classes, online classes. And in spite of such hindrances, most of the students, 82% of the students attend regular online classes to receive education. Moving forward, so from the above discussion, we have derived certain conclusions, like the survey indicated that the most of the teachers were not in favor of the digital mode of education for the long term, because they felt that it has less exposure to concurrent executions for acquiring efficient and empirical knowledge. Also, the students were neither comfortable nor understands the subject well while attending online sessions. They preferred offline mode of education to online mode of education. Again, most of the educators have no proper training on e-learning and ICT tools, and haven't done any certification courses on platforms like Diksha or Nishtha. Also, during the audit, it appeared that mobile phone was widely used as a medium of receiving and imparting education during the crisis, in spite of the communication and network issues. Moreover, the government too failed to provide any financial help or assistance to both the groups, that is, the teachers and the students who are involved in the teaching learning process. So, moving to the next slide, limitations and scope for further research. So, the study has been done for a limited period from March 2020 to April 2020. The research period might be extended for further studies. The research has taken only 100 participants into account, like 50 teachers and 50 students, for data collection, for primary data collection, belonging to various schools of Chambal region, Morena, during the survey. In the process of data collection was a big challenge, because it was very difficult to reach out to the remote and distant places of the state due to physical barriers like lockdowns and a lack of connectivity. So this brings me to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for listening and joining this session. Also, I would like to thank Abhishek Ranjan sir for providing this amazing opportunity to work with Sarkari School. And the journey has been an amazing journey. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.